Get all this trash from y'all's view. Y'all don't want to see that. Let's see if anyone will join. Hey, look at that. I can show a StreamYard comment. Bad hair days are always fun, right? Man, I hate streaming on YouTube sometimes because nobody joins for like the first 5 minutes and then some will join. I wonder if I can edit my name. Oh, I can. I'm just gonna put it as Lance. It is Monday, so maybe a lot of people won't join. I don't know. Let's hope so. I'm also trying to build up the courage to go read a book right now because I'm not a reader at all. I don't read anything outside of Star Wars, so I don't mind reading books. It's hard for books to be interesting for me. I mean, it's a really good book so far, but I just gotta find the courage to actually sit down and read it. Somebody join. I have a few things in the mail. I bought Jedi Academy Leviathan, which is an awesome comic, and then Crimson Empire 1 and 2. So and I'm talking about the trade paperbacks here. And then I bought Jango Fett Open Seasons. So I can't wait to get those in the mail. I get paid this Wednesday, so I think I may buy Mara Jade by the Emperor's Hand as well. Because that's pretty cheap. And I do want to start collecting those Clone Wars volumes, those trade paperbacks. I think there was 9 of those volumes they put out. Dark Horse did. And because I think they were from the Republic comics, and and then a couple of other comics as well. They called it Star Wars Clone Wars, and it has volume 1 to 9. So, and those are pretty cheap. They're normal. I say cheap, but they're like a pretty normal price for a trade paperback, or what I would pay. Max I'd pay for a trade paperback is, well, at least if it's new, and if it's not out of print, I'd pay $15-$20 for it. And a lot of these out of print trades are about $20. Now Jango Fett Open Seasons, I paid about $20 extra because it's an older comic. It's all out of print. That's actually a really good price. $40 for that comic's actually really good. And the comic usually goes from $80 to $200. In no way I would pay that. I'd rather buy this. I could probably find all 4 of the single issues at a cheaper price. So I'd rather do that. People have told me, well, you need to get the Epic collections. I love those Epic collections, but they're just not. They don't look good on a shelf. I don't know why. I just don't like the Epic collections. I mean, I like them, but I also don't like them because they, like for example, the Dark Empire Epic collection. I have that on the shelf. It says Star Wars, The New Republic Volume 5, I think it is. It's like, that's cool and all, but that's not what the actual comic is. It's not a part of a large series like that. So I'd rather just get a trade that says Dark Empire and that's it. Same with Crimson Empire, because I am gonna get those with just Crimson Empire on it. I don't want, you know, New Republic Volume whatever. I just want Crimson Empire on the shelf, or Marjay by the Emperor's Hand, or something like that. Something that's not just a generic title on the spine. Plus, I don't like Legends labels, so it's always good to get those, the trade paperbacks, the old ones, the Dark Horse Power, because you won't be getting those Legends labels, which are a pain. I hate them. So it's not that I hate. I mean, first of all, I don't like that term Legends. One, two, I don't like the look of Legends labels. They look tacky. Make the books look tacky. Guess no one's going to join. I'll give it a few more minutes. Where's my charger? Share invite. It's been 7 minutes. Somebody join. Messing around with these brands. Oh, you can put music on. Man, I will stay live until someone joins. I even have music on now. I'm gonna get my charger, turn my phone on, so I can get people coming to stream. Because many people are subscribed, but they have notifications. They don't have notifications on that, or they do, and no one's joining. And if you're like, why are you talking to yourself? The people who are gonna watch this afterwards, because I'm talking to the people who are watching this afterwards. Someone will join sooner or later. Gotta turn my phone. Come on, phone, turn on. I need to tell people to join my stream and have some fun. Talk about Star Wars EU. All this music doesn't have any copyright on it. So if it does, the stream is leaving. Or the stream is going down if it does. It shouldn't, though. You would think a service like this would put non-copyrighted music for their streams. Okay, my phone's on. I'm going to have come join. Hey, someone's actually here. Someone actually joined. 13 minutes into the stream. I wonder who it is. Unless it's. Oh. Well, never mind. They left.
trailer for Andor, which, dare I say, looks like it has the potential to be the best Star Wars show we've seen yet. Hold your tongue, sir.
Whoops. Man, somebody join. Come on.
I need to fit.
Someone actually just joined. It's Sheev Talks. What's up, man? It says no one's in stream, but whatever. I've been live for 17 minutes, and you joined. I'm bored right now. I have a lot to talk about. I think today, Andor, the trailer came out. This is the least interested in a Star Wars show that I've ever been. Like, usually when trailers come out, like, I think about that for the rest of, like, for Kenobi, for example. I thought about that the rest of the day when it came out. Now, I honestly forget that there was a trailer today. Have you spent the last 17 minutes just doing nothing, saying nothing? Practically. Well, I mean, I said some stuff like for like if anyone's gonna watch this afterwards, but yeah, I've been waiting for people to join. I get I don't have many followers, but you guys should have notifications on. But usually those people will join, so it was kind of weird that no one joined forever. But yes, basically, not everybody has thousands of freaking subscribers. Sheev. I watched the Andor trailer, maybe forgot it, but I'm walking on Sunshine today. Thanks to the Flash getting canceled. I've never seen it. I really have no. When I saw that they were basically having Flash lightsaber battles, I'm like, what in the world is this show? I was like, what is that? But yeah, today's been like this. That's the most forgettable trailer I've ever seen for Star Wars. Like ever. I mean, even like the Book of Boba Fett. Even that trailer was really. All the trailers been really good. It's not that the trailer was bad. It's just I don't care that much about the show because I didn't really care much for Cassian. So I just don't care. My roommate will defend that flesh. Isn't that poor Nest or something? Whoever his name is. What's to defend? It's a freaking Flash lightsaber battle. I mean, it's cringe. It's stupid. Like, what were they even holding? Like lightning bolts? I don't know. I thought the Book of Boba trailer was pretty lackluster and I was bad. I don't know. I had an interest in Book of Boba Fett. Maybe that's why. Yeah, my roommate's poor Nest. Isn't he like a notorious? Well, I guess you both hate the Last Jedi. About that trailer. Well, I meant that poster of Finji. Hey, look, it's Max. She's here. Another person. She's only here because I advertised it in stream chat or in the group chat. Hello. It's strictly Star Wars, obviously. Nice, nice. To me, you're just maxed now. Hope you guys like the music. You can add music on here, which is cool. Chad, Dr. Afra profile picture. I can't say yes or no that I've never read the comics, and I'm probably never going to. But hey, other people are joining. He says there's 2 other people have joined. I wonder who it is. I don't know who it is. They haven't said anything yet. Should I read Dr. Afra? Would I like it? I don't know. I'm open to it. I don't even care if it's new canon, as long as it's good, man. Like I feel like people don't understand me. Like I want the new canon to be good. I want it to rival the EU. I really do. I want it to almost be better than the EU in a lot of instances. It's just not. Legends in the house. I hope you're referring to us, the people. EU is in the house. I like Dr. Afra prequel stories. I don't know. I may give it a shot. Too busy reading EU stuff though, so won't be anytime soon. His actual name is Odin. I don't know. It is now. If you like Indiana Jones and a really awesome protagonist, you'll like Afra. I saw the first movie, first Indiana Jones. I liked it. I can't say like I'm a big fan of like archaeologist type stories. But yeah, I don't know. I may give him a try. Why not? I was referring to my Instagram handle, but yeah, sure. Oh, legend. Oh yeah, because you have Legends. What is it? Legends of Odin or something like that. As your title. Legends of the Jedi. Okay. We're all legends, yes. Dude, what is wrong with my lighting? That was weird. Yes, we're all legends. Especially me. Just kidding. So, as I was saying earlier, I have ordered Jango Fett Open Seasons, Crimson Empire 1 and 2, and Jedi Academy Leviathan. So, that'll all be coming in the mail this week, actually. And when I get paid on Wednesday, I'm ordering Mara Jade by the Empress Hand because I've never read that and I want to read it. I'm just tired of pirating stuff. I want the material. So, and I haven't read a Crimson Empire at all. So I'm definitely going to be reading that for the first time. So Crimson Empire 1 and 2. Crimson Empire, like the trade paperbacks, because I bought the trade paperbacks. They're actually cheap online. Crimson Empire 1 and 2 they were each $20 a piece. So okay, I'll pay for that. Crimson Empire 3 was almost $3,000. Why? I don't know. Open Seasons chat. I've already read it. I pirated it. But I wanted it. Because I found it for like $30. I'm like, damn right, I won't get that. I saw it on Amazon, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that right now. But I'm worried it's a scam. Hope not. It shouldn't be. Ooh, Empress Hand's cool. It's Zahn and Stackpole. Can't go any. And it's Mara Jade, right? As main protagonist. Can't go wrong with that. Classic. It's classic. Classic Dark Horse. Brush, I read Open Seas as well. Yeah, that's one of the more popular comics, so you probably have read it. Did the music end? Oh no, it did. And didn't you say you really like Crimson Empire? Oh, I mean, a lot of people do. It's one of Dark Horse's first stuff, and a lot of their early stuff they're some of their best. Even though I'm not a big Dark Empire fan, there's a lot of good stuff in Dark Empire, but it's kind of weird to me. I don't know. It's just I just don't care for it. At least Dark Empire 2 and Empire's End were bad. I mean, they were bad. They were just bad. They were cash grabs, especially Empire's End. Cash grabs. They should have ended with the first 6. I have Crimson Empire, but I haven't read it yet. Okay. How's your NJO reading going? I'm obviously interested in it. What is wrong with my lighting? It's not my lighting, it's my webcam. I've only read the first issue of Crimson Empire, so I thought you said you had the whole series. Maybe I'm thinking of something. I'm probably thinking of Open Seasons, because I remember we were on live together and you were showing me your collection. But yeah, I can't wait to read those for the first time. But see, I always knew that those comics existed, but I always forgot about them because they didn't add anything to the Bantam books. They take place in between the Bantam books. Like Crimson Empire is right after Dark Empire, and then I know it's not a Bantam book, but and then Crimson Empire 2, I believe, takes place after I Jedi, but before Children of the Jedi. I don't know. I have to look up the exact continuity. It's all over the Bantam, the entire series. Oh, it's going great. I haven't been able to read too much the past few days because I haven't been feeling well. That sucks. But we'll get back to it shortly. It took me a year to read the whole series. It was great though. Loved every minute of it. You're thinking of Open Season, probably. I've read like those 5 times. I'm like, right. Well, yeah. Yeah, Open Seasons is really good. What's cool is it's actually a tie-in comic to that Jango Fett game. I don't remember the name of it. Was it just Star Wars Bounty Hunter? I don't remember. But it was that Jango Fett game that basically talked about his backstory. A little bit of his backstory, at least. I don't know. I've never played it. And it's actually interesting because Max says she's playing Jedi Academy. I was just playing this before I started the stream because I'm at the part where they go to Tarnus, whatever that planet is. When Ross says, "Hey, come get me." I'll definitely finish NGO. It's been a few months. I have way too much stuff on my hands. I'm always working. It feels like, and my job is, I have to stand. I'm a host at a restaurant, so it's kind of hard to read. You can, you have time to read. You just sit there and help people. I may actually start doing that. Work in the box office at a theater. Be cool. Game as Bounty Hunter, okay. I figured it was Jango Fett or Bounty Hunter or whatever, something like that. Best thing about Open Seasons is it fixes all the continuity issues between Attack of the Clones and Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Because I hear that all the time. Oh, Attack of the Clones contradicted the EU. Okay. It's funny though when people say, "Oh, George contradicted the EU," as if that means anything to me. You know what he also contradicted? He contradicted A New Hope. He contradicted Return of the Jedi. He contradicted all of his original films. So it's like, it doesn't mean they're not canon anymore. It's just, he just contradicted stuff because he doesn't pay attention. Not that he doesn't think the EU is not canon, but whatever. What do I know? Boba season helped fix continuity because Tales of the Bounty Hunters had a different backstory from Boba, so they had to explain what we got. It really wasn't that different. It was really just why his name was Jaster Moril. It was just a tiny sentence. Everything else could definitely fit, and it did fit. It was just that tiny little line there that, his real name was Jaster Moril. It really wasn't that big a deal the more you think about it. Especially if you read the short story like I have. It's a great short story, by the way. Awesome short story. It's amazing. It's honestly, but the short story is better than a lot of novels, I think. Bounty Hunter was a good game. It's a good continuation of Open Seasons as well. Okay. That's what I've heard. Yeah, I'm at a box office all day theater that is barely ever busy. I may start doing that, actually. Look for a... But I do get a lot of money as a host because we get tips. and we make more than minimum wage. So now, why we're getting tips, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm also kind of tired of the dismissive argument of George never considered you can, even if that were true, honestly, don't even care. They're still great stories. Exactly. I mean, Luke's licensing considered it canon at the very least. He doesn't consider any of the new stuff canon. I can guarantee you that right now. Why would he? And they do a great job of keeping the continuity between each other in the film. Exactly. So it feels like a lot of the contradictions that people bring up are not that big a deal, or at least they were originally contradictions. Like, for example, in Heir of the Empire, the whole Clone Wars thing. Oh, the clones are the bad guys. It's like, well, to some people, yeah, they were, because they had an opposing side, so it really wasn't that big a deal. It's really these contradictions are not that big a deal. And people bring up, well, in the Marvel comics, it said Boba was a super commando. Okay, maybe he was at one point. Well, the EU officially explained it by saying that there was a rogue ARC trooper who became that Mandalorian super commando that people thought was Boba Fett. Well, it wasn't. It was a rogue ARC trooper. I think his name was like Alpha 17 or something like that. I don't remember his name exactly. I can look that up right now. I think it's Alpha 7. I may be wrong. Was an Alpha class? Yeah, he's an ARC trooper. And then it said, oh no, it wasn't. I'm thinking of somebody else then. Some other clone. Some ARC trooper that eventually became a super commando in the Marvel comics. Sorry, retcons can be such a good thing. And remember, I'm talking about like the actual definition for retcons, not contradictions. People get those two words confused all the time. It's honestly, I know some people who are watching this right now do that, but it's kind of. I'm not blaming you guys, but it does cringe me a little bit because they're different words and different things. They are similar though, because retcons, I mean, they change things. Essentially, it's just the way they're changing things are different. Like retcons, they just give a new interpretation on another story. It's not that they contradict that story; they just give a new interpretation of what that story was trying to say. While contradictions just don't line up with another story. So it's hard to explain, but they are different. So that's why you never see me use that word retcon when I'm talking about, like, how in Bad Batch when they change stuff from the canon comic. That's why I use the word contradict and not retcon, because it's not a retcon, it's a contradiction. I don't know, I'm an English guy. Like, I'm really good at English in school. So I'm a very literature-based person. Word-based person. Anyway, how are y'all? What are y'all reading right now? How about that? I know Max is reading NJO. What is everybody else reading? Sheev, Odin? If y'all are still on stream, it says there's 3 people on stream. What y'all reading? Can be Star Wars, can be anything. Shadow Games? That's one of the few instances where Dash Rendar shows up outside of Shadows of the Empire. That's pretty cool. And I didn't know that. I thought it was just a neat story about a unique thing, but I've never read it. But from what I've been told, Dash Rendar is in that. I think Shizor is too. I'm not sure though. I wonder what happened to Dash after Shadows of the Empire. Did he go into rebellion? What happened? Forgot he's canon. Bullshit. I hate this mouse. It doesn't ever work right. He's really in nothing after Shadows of the Empire, which sucks. What's up, Cody? Yeah, it's pretty good so far. I think Dash is in Shadows of the Empire Evolution. Oh, I'm looking it up here. It actually doesn't say that he is. It says he's just in Shadows of the Empire, and then after that, oh no, he is in Evolution. Yeah, in issue 5. Then he's mentioned in Or Die Trying, which I believe is an NJO short story. Yeah, it is, or NJO era short story. Interesting. Kind of weird that he was pretty much never mentioned, or well, it's not that he wasn't mentioned or anything afterwards. It's Shadows of the Empire came out a lot than a lot of the books did, so I don't know. Did he? I haven't finished Shadows of the Empire, so I don't know. Shadows of the. It's like the book. It honestly feels like a story that's supposed to be in a video game or in a movie, not a video game. It's actually isn't a video game, but in a movie. It feels movie worthy. If that makes sense. Which it was. I feel like George may have made him. I believe that's probably something that he thought about doing for a while. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But it's definitely movie worthy, I think. Comics, I'm still technically I'm reading Legacy, but I haven't actually opened or read it in a while. I think I read up until issue 23. Need to get back to that. Finish the series up. It's really good. I'm really liking it so far. I don't understand the hate behind it. I mean, it's good. It's different. Okay, Skywalker, there's no such thing as a bounty hunter Skywalker. It's like, according to who? He's different. He's a different Skywalker. He's not traditional. That's the point. When will you get to Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi? I don't know. Whenever I finish Dark Nest. I don't know. Sometime. I just have no motivation to read Dark Nest. I didn't like the first book at all. I thought it wasn't bad. It was just so boring. And it's a shame too because it's post Jedi. It's my favorite. Legacy comics are freaking amazing. They are great. I don't understand the hate behind them, but they get a lot of hate. You know what I've never done? My top 5 worst ebooks at least the ones that I've read. I can do it now. Number 1 is I, Jedi. I just hate that book. 2, I'd probably say Crystal Star for sure. Even though I kind of love the book because of how funny it is, but it's a bad story. 3 is probably. I gotta look at my shelf. I don't know. I can't really do a top 5 because 3 Black Fleet Crisis is on here somewhere because I don't like Black Fleet Crisis. It's not that I don't like it; it was just boring to me. Black Fleet Crisis is 3. 4 I can say is Joiner King by Troy Denning, and then gotta find a 5th one. I guess Children of the Jedi. I guess. So yeah, that's my top 5 right there. Have you read any Clone Wars tie-in? No, I haven't. I've read anything in the Clone Wars era, in the EU at least, or in the new canon. For that, they don't have much in the new canon regarding Clone Wars, but I have it. Of course, I've seen the miniseries, the micro series, whatever you want to call it. It was really good. I actually rewatched a little bit of it a while back. So I haven't, but I do want to though because I've heard Karen Travis's No Prisoners is really good. Of course, it's only good because it has some familiar characters in there, which I'm not too sure about anyway. Because I don't like familiar characters injected into a book just to be there, just so because Filoni does that crap all the time. Any other questions, comments? What's y'all's favorite EU book? I'll ask questions then. What are y'all's favorite EU book? Don't read the Gambit duologies. It's EU, so I'm going to read it regardless. And that's not really a Filoni Clone Wars. Well, I guess you're talking. Okay, maybe you're talking about in general, but I'm going to read it regardless because it's EU. Darth Plagueis, I knew that. I know that. You love Plagueis. It's interesting because the EU never really had a Dooku center book, and I know you love Dooku. I guess we have Legacy of the Jedi. That young adult book they did. There's some young Dooku stuff in there, and young Qui Gon stuff as well. So there's a lot of Dooku stuff in there, but not a whole lot. And then of course Dark Rendezvous, which I know you've read and you loved it. Not a whole lot of Dooku stuff in the EU. You know, find Force on top. Vector Prime is 1,000 light years better than that. Vector Prime is the best EU book. That's my favorite. Always has been. Probably always will. Actually, it hasn't always been. Ever since I read it, of course. It's my favorite. My favorite before that was Jedi Academy trilogy. Ooh, Dark Rendezvous was so good. Yeah, you said you like cried in it or something. It's actually interesting, is because when that book was being made, well, there was two books that they were wanting to do: Escape from Dagu, which if you're an EU guy, you know who that is, or what that is, and then Yoda Dark Rendezvous. But see, George didn't like. That's the only Yoda-centered novel. There is no other Yoda-centered novel in the EU. I mean, there's Yoda comics, miniseries, and stuff, but he just never really. George never really liked that. So, but when it was like, okay, he's like, okay, you can go ahead and do Dark Rendezvous. Um, they were like, cool. So they had to cancel Escape from Dagu because that's the one they wanted to put out first. But when George said you can put Dark Rendezvous out, that's when Escape from Dagu was canceled. So fun fact. I didn't decry LOL. I'm a big crier. I cried during the Every Young Jedi Knight book. You're definitely gonna cry during NJO then. Dark Rendezvous is your favorite? Is that your favorite ebook in general? That's nice. Also, this is Christopher Nelson. He's an awesome guy. Check out his channel. If you haven't, he talks a lot about EU merchandise and things of that nature. Marketing stuff, merchandise and marketing. So that great guy for that. He always wanted to keep Yoda in his backstory mystery. Yeah, and I actually love that. I kind of agree with. See, I think Yoda. I feel like what makes Yoda so interesting is if his entire backstory and his planet and species all revealed, it would really ruin a lot of the uniqueness of Yoda. So the fact that he is a mystery is what was I going with that? Best Yoda or mystery. That what makes him so unique is the mystery behind him. It's my favorite, not to be confused with the best. I mean, I don't think there's like an objective best book. That's what I think. I think if it's your, like if it's like for me, Vector Prime, I think it's the best book in the EU. I mean, so even though it's really not, there is no best book. I don't think. Actually, I lied. Crystal Star is the best book. I hope y'all would agree with me on that. You know, Chris, you were around during that era. What were people's general thoughts on the Crystal Star when it first came out? Would people hate on it like people do now? I found that very interesting. And if you don't remember, that's cool too. But if you do know, let me know. Unifying Force is my favorite. I think Traitor is objectively the best. I don't agree. I think Vector Prime is objectively the best. Actually, I don't think that really, but I do think it is the best. I don't like saying there's like because I think the NJO is so good. Every book is so good. There's really not an objectively best book. Now, if we're comparing books like Heir to the Empire and The Crystal Star, obviously there's one that's probably objectively better. But I just don't like saying that because I don't know. Just I don't like saying that. I think everything is subjective when it comes to fiction. That's not to say that there aren't like archetypes. There's obviously you can objectively screw up an archetype or things like that. But I don't know. I don't like to use that word. But if y'all want to use it, I don't care. I just don't use it. Vector Prime is the best. So it usually takes me a week or so. If I'm reading a book consistently, it usually takes about a week to read. It took me 3 days to read Vector Prime. I just couldn't put it down. Like I missed sleep over that. So good. Bro, my hair is a mess. I guess you could say that. Yeah. I would say Matthew Stover did the best, like in terms of writing. In terms of writing, gosh, man, I can't think right now what's wrong with me. In terms of character development and character growth, obviously great. Matthew Stover's the best at that, or at least NGO Stover's novel was the best at that. But then again, Traitor was like a huge character study for Jason. It's like Logan or Joker, It's a character study. I'm free for a few minutes. Would love to come on. Hey, I don't hate the book. Okay, it's weird. I actually laughed a lot when I first read it because I knew how bad it was. Because I'd heard about the book when I first read it. But yeah, I'll go ahead and send you the invite link if you want to come on. On Twitter, I'm sending it on Twitter. I don't know how else to send it. I got a message request from someone. Yes, I am hand typing all of this. StreamYard. Okay, let me finish typing Twitter. '79 DY. Okay, sent it to you, Chris. I have to use the restroom real quick, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my screen off. I'll be right back. I'm back, and he's here, the man himself.
Thanks for having
What's
me.
up, Chris? I'm back, and he's here, the man himself.
Let me.
I
I think I've got. Hold on.
I'm back, and he's here, the man himself.
I'm listening to the stream while I'm also on it, so I turned off. Okay, I was getting some feedback here. Sorry about that. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man.
And thanks for plugging the channel. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Crystal Star. So yeah, I was around at the time, and the thing is, like most dinosaurs my age, right? Like when that stuff came, like you were pretty excited. And the thing, I mean, it's one of those books that I feel like, unfortunately, it just has there's an opinion you're supposed to have about it, right? You're supposed to hate it. And in the same way that, like, I think like you're supposed to think that Star by Star is like really great, you know, like the NJ, you're just supposed to think. Now that can be backed up, I think, right? But I always really appreciate when someone takes the time to actually read it. And like Matthew Wilson at Geeks Attic, right? Like he read it, he hates it, but he can back that up. He read it, he took notes, you know, he studied the thing. The thing is, I think there's things about it you can defend. One of the things I think people say is like, they go, oh, it's just another one of these classic Bantam era, you know, the twins get stolen, blah, blah, blah. That's the first time that happened, right? You know, they go, oh, it's a ridiculous villain. The thing is, that's all Star Wars was supposed to be at the time. That's all it could be, right? You know, you got to remember in 1994, there was only so much at that point post sort of Zon 91 sort of resuscitation in EU. All it really could do is set up an adventure somewhere in the galaxy, right, with the core cast. But it still does some development with the twins, which is interesting. But I will say there are elements of the characterization a little off. I think, and Vonda McIntyre is one of my favorite Trek writers. But yeah, you know, to be fair, like it's not. I mean, some of the dialogue's wonky and stuff like that. I mean, it's not an easy read in that way. But I think the story works, and yeah, I just think unfortunately it's just become one of these books that you're just supposed to not like, and I just wish more people would actually take the time to read it, you know. And so again, at the time, I think there were mixed opinions for sure. Like it wasn't what Heir to the Empire was, you know, for us at the time. It wasn't what even like Truce of Bakura was, which I've always thought is a really strong book and a great entry point in the EU. And it wasn't like lots of the earlier books that I remember coming out, you know, decades before. But it was fine. And I have to say, if anyone's willing to sort of do the research, if you I forget what it is. There's some edition of it at Amazon. Where you can go through and go look at a very old review by Joe Bongiorno, who runs StarWarsTimeline.net, who hopefully most people know was involved in like getting Heart of the Jedi out and things like that. He wrote a really good review of it that he actually forgets writing. I try to remind him about it from time to time, but it's like a dissertation on all the virtues of the book. So that's really worth checking out for anyone who's on the fence. So that's my rant about that's my brief rant about Crystal Star.
And that's obviously I've never thought of it that way, because the book came out 94, right?
Yeah, right.
So that would be the first time the twins were kidnapped, right? And that'd be one of the first times a Dark Jedi. That'd be really the second time, because you had Sabaoth or Sabaoth, however you say his name, in the Thrawn trilogy, and then Hether. That's a good point. So it's really the later books that would, you know,
they're the ones that keep ripping off. Exactly, right? So it's a template almost, you know. But again, I think in particular, I mean, one of the critiques you hear too, and I already alluded to this, right, is that it's just sort of this, you like what are the wide ranging consequences? Again, it's just a weird villain, a wacky villain. You don't see much of anymore. It's like what's the point? Where did this get us? In the way that a lot of people made that critique about, like say Last Jedi, the what is it, episode 8 or something, right? I haven't seen it, right? But the critique is that it didn't really move the timeline forward at all, right? A lot of people go, well, Crystal Star, what's the point? You had Heir to the Empire, you had Truce of Bakura, these really important, groundbreaking books, and then there's just a standalone adventure. And again, that's all at that time a standalone Bantam book could be. We really take for granted how truly expansive, right, the EU was, growing over and over time, right? And it's so interesting, even though Bantam sort of like hit the ground running with like Heir to the Empire and stuff, a book which, by the way, I don't think has held up as well as other early EU books, but it certainly sort of came out the gate. The EU got more sophisticated, the more, and it was able to do more, right? So by the time you get to New Jedi Order, you really can do these like galaxy shattering sorts of events and things like that, right? But the books did get more sophisticated. They were allowed to. The EU was still, or sort of the modern EU was still sort of in proof of concept stage, So again, Vonda McIntyre did everything she was really supposed to,
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget there's a character in there, and I love Young Jedi Knights, one of my favorite things ever. There's a character in Crystal Star. Guess what? She shows up in Young Jedi Knights, and she's actually in a bigger role. Lusa, which I think centaurs in Star Wars are weird, but we have teddy bears in Star Wars too, so it's not that big a deal. But she's a good character. I loved her when I first read Crystal Star. There's good things in it. I mean, I think a lot of people forget it's the first adventure with Jason and Jaina on their own.
Yeah.
And then I thought Lusa was a good character. Weird species, yeah, but she was a good character. And then, of course, she showed up again in Young Jedi Knights. I remember reading it, I'm like, what? She's in this book? Because I think I watched one of Matt's videos, and he says, nah, there's no continuity with the Crystal. Like, it doesn't get mentioned ever again. It's like, I guess it doesn't get mentioned, but there are characters from it. It does get mentioned in New Rebellion, I believe. I think Waru gets mentioned. But Lusa shows up later on. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And actually, I think I remember, I have the paperback, and it says in there somewhere that Kevin J. Anderson had input, I think. I have to recheck that again. But he did. I mean, that's interesting as well. So, because I love Kevin J. Anderson, so.
Yeah, he's another one. I mean, what's so interesting about that mid '90s Bantam era is like there's a lot of weird revisionism, I think, about what we thought about it at the time. So again, thanks for letting a dinosaur like myself talk a bit about it. And Kevin J. Anderson is another author who I think has been a victim of this revisionism, and for whatever reason, a lot of folks have some pretty negative views about his stuff. Now, you're entitled to not like it if you've done the work and have read this, read his stories and read his contributions. But I think they're wide ranging and valuable enough to like earn him his proper place in the in the Jedi archives, right? I mean, it's weird. It's weird that the almost like the hate that you sometimes hear about him too. But no, I like him too. It was interesting seeing the thread before I jumped on. I mean, I agree with some of the folks. Like Stover is definitely one of my favorite. There's so many to choose from. I don't think you can go wrong with Stover. You pretty much can't go wrong with Lucino, in my opinion. There's really mixed opinions, it seems, increasingly about Denning, but I've always enjoyed Denning, But it's interesting. In the 90s, there was a whole different slate of really sort of core writers, right? And, Kevin Anderson was someone who was part of like an early team, along with, by the way, Kristen, or what's her name, Rutt, the author of New Rebellion. I always forget her. I always mix up her name.
Catherine Rush. Yeah.
She was part of almost like an early story group she was really writing the Bible for what the EU was ultimately going to sort of be. And it's really interesting. And her, along with Barbara Hamley and others, is really interesting to sort of imagine where it could have gone if they'd been allowed to do more with it. But we forget now. I mean, there's that 90s group of authors. Some of them, again, like with Rush, only got the one book plus like a reference guide. But it was a fun time. I love more than anything that Bantam period, and obviously for nostalgic reasons, because to be there at the time was pretty exciting. But I really do like a lot of those books.
I'm honest. I loved it. Like, the Bantam stuff was the first stuff I read. Like, I read Thrawn Trilogy. Then I read Jedi Academy because I was so interested in, it's about how Luke created Jedi Academy, right? So I wanted to read that. Then I went back and I read Truce of Bakura, Courtship Princess Leia. Then I read Tatooine Ghost because my thing was I wanted to read about Luke, Han, and Leia stuff, so I skipped X-Wing. I kind of regret that now, but I still haven't read it yet, but I will. So, and then I went from there. I read I Jedi through, well, Hand of Thrawn, and then I read NJO. So, Bantam stuff was the first stuff I read. I read in sort of chronological order, and then I don't know. I loved it. So
Cool.
that was my start as well. Just in a much different time period. I started it 2020 pandemic because I was in school. I'm still in school. You know, I'm a young guy. So online school. I read most of the Bantam era that year. So that was a lot of fun.
Nice. Hey, I was in school when the Bantam era was out, but I haven't been in school in a long time. But you know, it's funny. I technically, I'm so old. I started with Del Rey because back in the very, very, very beginning, it was technically Del Rey. You know, like some of the Solo and Lando books. But yeah, fun collector minutia. But by the way, just to clarify my comment about favorite versus best, I've got this. This is the way I try and make sense of this, so that people don't talk past one another online about these sorts of things when they do rankings and stuff. You're right. I mean, clearly, obviously, everything's subjective, but I sort of feel like there are definitely works that clearly people would want to advocate for. So, you know, the best, right? You know, it's not that it is the best; it's just that's the one that you'd want to make the case for. And I think that's different from what your favorite is. And your favorite could be your favorite for like a whole variety of reasons that are also subjective. And I always tell people like Dark Rendezvous, although I can make a case for it being really good, I recognize maybe isn't sort of the fan consensus greatest, but you kind of have to be me to understand why it's my favorite. It's just, you know, I remember that that time and place. And I loved that multimedia project. I love everything about it, the excitement for Star Wars. But I think there's a third category, which is just what are the things that you reread the most? And again, I think all of the three, so the best, favorite, and the thing you read, they could all be different, right? Which I think is interesting. And I think they can change a lot depending on, you know, where you're at any given time. But
yeah, that's fair. Like, because like I said, there are obviously books that are better than the other, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. In your case, you would probably say Dark Rendezvous is better than, I don't know, Crystal Star or whatever book out there that is not considered to be that good. So
I would say that, yeah.
I haven't read any Clone Wars stuff yet, so I'll get there soon. I've read stuff with Old Republic and post Return of the Jedi. That's really the eras that I've dealt with the most. Like I've read Tales of the Jedi. I've read I played both KOTOR games. Love KOTOR, like huge fan of that stuff. Read the Revan novel, which I'm a big defender of that book. I love the Revan book. I don't care what anybody else says.
No, it's great. I like it. Yeah, I like it too.
I love that.
Yeah, good.
Have you played the games?
Well, no, here's what's funny. No, I haven't. I haven't played either. I mean, I keep up with the lore, but I haven't played those games. Yeah. So, and by the way, so it's interesting to hear someone who has like the Revan novel. I've always felt like, oh, it's just for me and normies to like, you know what I mean, rather than actual gamers, whatever. But yeah,
it's really good. I love it, and I think it's cool because I wanted to play SWTOR, but I wanted to read the Revan novel first.
Mm-hmm.
So because I am playing SWTOR right now, and it's great too. But I love how they connected the Vitiate Sith Empire to Nagasato from Tales. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Because I mean, I just thought it was just another Sith Empire that came up.
Right.
But no, it's literally the same empire from Tales of the Jedi, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. How SWTOR connected their story to the first Old Republic story. I just thought that was so cool to me. So it definitely made me so much more interested in SWTOR because I love Tales of the Jedi. I love Kevin J. Anderson. So and Tom Veitch. I got to give him credit too. So.
Oh, listen, you know, I think Dark Empire is probably my favorite all-time Star Wars story. And I mean, Veitch just deserves. I mean, he's just, you know, GOAT status. I mean, absolutely. Right. And it's a shame that we didn't get more from him because, and I told you offline, you know, there's more of his Star Wars stuff out there. You know, it's not widely available yet, but hopefully someday, you know, folks will get to enjoy it. You know, but it's really unfortunate the way his sort of time with Lucasfilm came to an end because, yeah, I mean, the guy just so much to contribute, but
and he I mean, even with the small stuff that he did, I mean, Holocrons got that from him, I think, right? That first showed up in Dark Empire, was that beforehand?
I need to think about that. I'm not sure.
Because I haven't read any of the old 70s and 80s stuff. I want to, though. I want to read all of it, but
it's great. it's been fun watching your channel and posts and stuff on Twitter. It's exciting to sort of get to kind of experience it. And by the way, you're part of like what's so cool is it feels like uh, every day there's some new generation of people discovering it, right? Whether like younger folks or just like older folks who they're finally getting around to it. And that's the great thing. It's there, and there's so much of it, right? It's a lifetime worth of enjoyment. Even as I hope we continue to get more.
Yeah. I mean, I'm having the time of my life right now as a Star Wars fan. Like, I mean, it's great. So, and because there's a lot of young people, my age. I mean, they'll watch the new Disney stuff, right? Which is fine, but they don't really get to experience all the old stuff. They'll hear about it, like because there was a while when I was, I used to be a huge Filoni nut. Now that you've seen my post on Twitter, I'm not a Filoni fan anymore.
Yeah.
And if you've seen my Instagram, I'm the same way. I do not like him, or at least I don't like him as a storyteller. I don't really care for him as a person. I don't know him as a person, but
I don't know him
I
either.
don't like-
I know people who've met him and they say he's just the nicest guy, and I don't disbelieve that. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, as a hardcore EU fan, I can't help but feel somewhat personally attacked by occasional things he's done, not to mention just the way in which he sort of obliterated a lot of the lore. And I got to tell you, going back to just parallel with like hey, what did we think about Crystal Star at the time? I'm here to absolutely guarantee you that the second the Clone Wars, the 2008 Clone Wars started, we all were like, what the hell is this? I mean, right? I mean, and it's sad because given like how much stuff is like how many forums and things have disappeared over the years, unfortunately, I realized that I was getting to the point where people probably didn't believe me because some of the stuff I'm about to mention has started to kind of disappear. But, we were on forums with Chi at the time, as early as the first couple of episodes of that show saying, this doesn't even make sense. And by the way, come to find out, like not even the first season was even in chronological order within itself, right? You know what I mean? So
the whole series is.
But when you hear talk about how Chi had promised the fans that don't worry, someday we'll make sense of what Filoni's done, that's because at the time, immediately upon airing, right, we sort of stood up and said, you have to respond to this. And back when Chi was much more, open and honest with the fans about this stuff, he said, don't worry, I get it. We get it. We hear you. And, yeah. And at the same time, I remember even during like the EU days thinking, well, because I'd be at the conventions and celebrations and things, and I would see young kids excited, and they were there because of Clone Wars. And I remember thinking, well, okay, cool, it's another entry point for the next generation, so I won't knock it for that. But as long as Chi holds his promise, right, and of course with 2014 happening, he'll never be able to, and so that's just crushing. But anyway, no, I don't want there to ever be revisionism. I'm glad that there are people out there who like it. But many of us in 2008, again, immediately upon airing, said something is wrong, right? So, and the other thing too is that we were admittedly pretty naive, but I can't tell you how excited I was for that show because, aside from Dark Empire, the Tartakovsky Clone Wars is my other favorite Star Wars product. I'm just a total obsessive nut about that, and many of us, I think, again, somewhat romantically, somewhat naively, were led to believe that the Filoni Clone Wars was going to be a continuation of that, in both in style and substance and stuff. And of course it wasn't. So
I remember growing up, and honestly, when I was watching, because I grew up watching the micro series, I had seen it. I didn't really think anything. I just thought, hey, they put out a whole, just an older micro series. Obviously, I didn't know it was part of a multimedia project or anything like that. But then I watched Filoni's Clone Wars, and I'm like, this is a continuation of that, because I mean, with Ventress, I mean, I remember from the micro. I remember telling a friend of mine, well, in this micro series, she has these blue and green lightsabers, and then in Filoni's Clone Wars, it's revealed she was once a Jedi. Obviously, we weren't reading the books or comics, we were just watching the stuff or the cinematic stuff. But obviously nowadays, no, it's not canon, especially after season 7, because it did contradict. I don't know if you've seen it, but
no, I haven't.
It does. They're in season 7, right before Coruscant is attacked. They're at a planet called, I think, Urbrana or something like that. And then in the micro series, they're at some other planet. So the stories there are not continuity at all. But Yeah, I love the micro series. I actually recently rewatched, I think, the first volume. I have the first volume on DVD. I don't have the second one. I need to get the second one, but
Yep.
that's really good too. I love that series. Even though it's kind of like I often imagine, what if they did that Mace Windu episode in live action? What would that look like?
Hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, and I remember for a while the defense was, and admittedly kind of silly, but the defense was, for lack of a better way of putting it, it was anime-ish. I know it's not anime for anime fans out there, right? But the idea was, it was a cartoon. It was a little, so the overpoweredness was in some sense by stylistic design.
Right,
So of
right.
course that's not exactly how. On the other hand, I think there's an interesting argument that's been made that, like, if real life Samuel Jackson was doing something even approximating that, wouldn't that go to show just how well Palpatine's plan was working? That the Jedi were overpowering themselves, right? Constantly finding ways of giving in a little bit here and there to the dark side in order to sort of win the day, right? Which is ultimately what that Tartakovsky Clone Wars is all about with Anakin, sort of learning the wrong lessons, right? Making it much more justifiable in Revenge of the Sith that, like, seemingly the flip of a quarter, he turns to the dark side. So actually, in a way, the overpoweredness I actually think has some narrative purpose too. But anyway, yeah. But no, I haven't seen season 7, and I'm one of these guys, a lot like Matt Wilkins, where it's like I have no real problem with folks enjoying the new stuff. But it's not for me. I don't like Star Wars because it's got the Star Wars logo. I like it because it continues the story from the films, right? That's why I like the EU, and that's all it comes down to. And so yeah, I don't like the new stuff. I always say my problem isn't that the new stuff's bad; it's that there's not enough of the old, right? So continue it alongside a parallel path, and it constantly sort of, like, I just got to be honest, it does irk me when you just see, like, every once in a while you see someone just finally, they go, oh cool, my favorite little pet EU character now has this random footnote reference in a new canon guide or something. Cool, now I'm done, I don't care anymore, and it's like, it's been so hard to convince people that there are two continuities, and that I really no longer try to refer to what happened in 2014 as a decanonization, but as a discontinuation, right? And so the goal is to continue it, not to make it canon again. I don't care what you call it. It's the point is there's two continuities, right? So
that's, and what's interesting is when you brought up EU characters being in the new canons, like little footnotes or whatever, and the new Shadow of the Sith book, which is a lot of the stuff I've been told about that book, and mainly with Luke and the way he's written, I've been told he doesn't allow Ben to call him Uncle Luke. Like, it's so stupid. Anyway,
right.
Apparently some of the Sith in there they're chanting Revan. I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't like Revan being the new canon. Second of all, it's like, he died a Jedi. Why are they chanting his name? He was a Sith for like a year or so, maybe not even that long, maybe a little longer, but it wasn't a Sith that long. And he rejected that path and chose the Jedi. It's like, why are they chanting his name then? But no, they're going to change the story. He's probably going to die Sith in the new canon. And that's just... And I think Thrawn, I've seen Rebels. I've seen what they did to Thrawn. I haven't read any of the books, and I'm never going to. But after reading the Thrawn trilogy, when I read that, I'm like, yeah, Rebels Thrawn is just nothing like this. I mean, he can't even defeat a Rebel cell. That's all he fights in Rebels is a small cell. Right. Now, remember what he did to the New Republic in Last Command? Dude attacked Coruscant.
Right.
Attacked the heart of the galaxy and almost destroyed them. He would have if Leia never uncovered that plot about the Nogri. So it's like, and then he will tell me, well, Zahn, he tries to keep his books closer, as if it was in the EU. And it's like, no, it does not. It can't do that though.
Yeah,
he can at least 100% succeed, because guess what? The Thrawn in those books is the same Thrawn in Rebels, so they have to be consistent, and they are consistent from what I've been told. So it's like and then they have that Vong ripoff in those books, the Grisk, or it's a Vong ripoff, is what it is, and I don't like that because I'm a huge Vong fan. Like you've seen I love the Vong.
Yeah, you just said that today. I think I saw you say that.
Yeah, huge Vong fan, and I don't know. I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, it's a shame, and I know it feels like this like nerdy, almost academic point that we have to constantly keep driving home in the fandom. And they've had to do it since not only 2014, but actually going back even further. Because what's interesting is, again, as a dinosaurs and old guy, I can sort of speak to how there was actually a sense in which the movement to continue the EU actually began before the decanonization, because the writing was on the wall. They've been very open about a story group coming to try and reorganize canon. Because, by the way, this was not the first time something like this had happened. And just to back up even further, there's something that's often forgotten. Before Leland Chee had any involvement in Lucasfilm, Lucasfilm did, for all this revisionist talk about how, the old Marvel comics aren't, they're S canon or blah, blah, blah. None of us at the time thought that. For us, it was just more Star Wars content coming. And to the extent it was in continuity, it was more of the ongoing saga. And the notion that the EU began in 91 is BS. I mean, yes, it was a resuscitated wave, right? But again, for us at the time, it was just more of the same. But up until about 2000-ish, what we didn't know is that at the time, Lucasfilm kept two lists: content that wasn't and was canon. So in something like the Jedi Prince series, had these superficial contradictions, the entire series was just on the non-canon list. And that's what's so valuable with the hierarchy, right? Is that post 2001, 2002, we finally get to sort of make sense of this, but doing something that I think a lot of people sort of misunderstand. It's not that then entire books or comics or stories are or aren't canon. It's that every individual element in the entire expanded universe is either, S or C or, canon, right? You know what I mean? And it's just a very, very sophisticated mechanism, but and I totally forgot why I went down that rabbit hole, but what were we talking about? Oh, but again, it just goes to show there's so much nuance here and nerdy academic sort of nuance and stuff. And no wonder they were able just to sort of take this away and just make, the average bozo on Twitter think that everything they're doing now was great and everything that was old was bad, right? But we have to keep hammering home that by definition, right, since 2014, since they made this, discontinuation pronouncement, right, if there is a character called Thrawn in the new stuff, it's only because they've taken a character with that name, with that general appearance, and reinserted him in a new continuity. It's just, by definition, right, it's a different sort of thing, and for years people have been like, well, could you sneak the Old Republic in the new stuff? And it's like, if you could, it's headcanon by definition and by Lucasfilm's own word. This is not us trying to, weasel our way. No, by definition, there are two different canons, and it's just and I made a video about this a year or two ago. In fact, Alex was on that, and I just said, there are a couple things I'm just tired of talking about, and trying to convince new people of, and that's one of those things. It's such a shame, but you can't help but every day on Twitter be inundated by dozens of people who just want to continue to sort of rub in your face that hey, Dash Rendar's ship is now in Rebels or something, therefore I guess everything, it's like, nope, even if that were true, I wouldn't care. It wouldn't make me any more interested in it, and by definition it's not him. And
it's just a ship that's the same model.
Yeah,
it's not, doesn't mean Rendar, and it wasn't in Rebels, it wasn't Rendar piloting it, it was some kid piloting it.
Sure.
So it wasn't even Dash, it was just YT, I don't remember his freighter number, but
yeah, right, yeah, YT.
It's just the same model.
And by the way, the thing I always say too is, it's so crazy. It's like these fans that agitate for the random and by the way, these things have literally become in the form of footnotes. One of my favorite characters in the West End Games RPGs is Platt O'Keefe, the smuggler, Corellian smuggler. And she literally appears in a footnote in a reference guide in new canon, source or something. And it's that's it. So they take this, again, they throw her out in any continued story so that they can just shoehorn her in this thing that most new canon fans wouldn't even appreciate or whatever. But gosh, I get so excited about this. I'm losing my train of thought. But I'm just so wrapped up by this. But oh well.
And you've seen me on Twitter, I get riled up by it too.
I know.
I've always said that because I love Mara Jade, huge Mara Jade fan.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously her entire post-Jedi story, maybe not entire, but most of it, if she's brought into new canon, none of that happened. Obviously, she's never going to have Ben. She's not going to get with Luke. None of that's going to happen. So it's what is the point then? Yeah, she had stories before then. But from what people have been wanting, they want her to be a freaking Inquisitor. Okay, she was an Inquisitor in the old stuff. She was the Emperor's hand. That's different.
Right.
So it's like you're not bringing Mara Jade in the new canon. Then you're bringing in a character named Mara Jade, who's completely different. You could take in Rebels, you could take Thrawn out and you could give him a new appearance and name him Billy, and there'd be no difference. You could do the same stuff because I mean there was no point. First of all, there's no point in doing it. He just wanted a character in there that people would know, right? So people would watch it because I guess maybe the views were low. I don't know, but and it's just I don't understand. He loses to space whales first of all that could go on hyperspace. I think they're called Purrgil, I think is the name. It's like I can't stand it. Can't stand it.
It's funny because I do see you on Twitter, and in some ways I'm excited because it's like even if I sort of pronounced, that like I think I'm done trying to convince other fans about this stuff. I'm secretly happy that you're out there, but then again, I feel like I hope you must feel like a total martyr by the end of the night. I mean, like you go to battle every day, and I don't know how you've got the stamina for it.
With me, it's I find it funny, to be honest with you. A lot of things that they say, like there was one tweet. I don't know if you remember this, but that I responded to. The guy said, "Men do write fan fiction. It's just published and called the extended universe." That's what they said. First of all, it's not called the extended universe.
I know, what a tell, right? Yeah.
And it's so funny. And I can name so many female authors. Mary Jo Duffy, one of the first Star Wars writers. She wrote she wrote the Marvel comics, right? A lot of them. And
She was
then
an editor, yeah.
Yeah, and then Kathy Tyers, Nancy Richardson, Christy Golden, Karen Traviss, one of the most popular Star Wars writers. Right. So, and the fact that it's published is it's not fan fiction by that point. It's like, find me fan fiction, Star Wars fan fiction from these fan fiction websites that are approved by George Lucas, or at least given his blessing to be licensed. You're not going to find it. You will find it with the EU, though. So it's not fan fiction. It's licensed. It's published. It's approved by Lucas.
No, I mean, exactly. Every argument that a lot of these trolls have made about the EU absolutely blows back on them, because again, if they think that George Lucas had to actually sit and read every word, well, then literally nothing in the new canon then is canon, right? Because he retired, he's gone, But by the way, I mean, one thing we absolutely know is, like, first of all, it's amazing too. Again, there's no room for nuance and subtlety in these conversations with folks about fandom, particularly about something like the expanded universe, which has none of the cultural power anymore, thanks to the blue check marks and everyone else who sort of just piles on, right? And sort of tries to create this cultural consensus around what's good and what's not. And they think because our stuff is old, it's bad now, and because there's new stuff happening, it's great. It's just really, really sad and really, really, half conscious. But God, I'm so riled up. I keep forgetting my train of thought. I'm so embarrassed. This is what happens when you're old. What was I even saying? Damn.
Contradictions. We're talking about contradiction.
But again, just there's no room for nuance. That it's like, of course he didn't pour over every word, but that's why he had a company, Lucasfilm, that he delegated that licensing power to. And ultimately, a lot of this is just about the licensees. And trust me, Lucasfilm had their finger on the pulse. But we absolutely know for a fact that, particularly in the early days, he actually did sit and read this stuff. We know he liked the comics. We know he got through those.
Right.
We know he liked the West End game stuff because he personally had those things sent to Zahn and early authors, right, for sort of background information. But like Dave Wolverton, who unfortunately just passed away, like, he got like a handwritten note from Lucas saying how much he enjoyed the book. Tom Veitch, right, the really unfortunate reason why he's wasn't involved with Lucasfilm after a while was because Lucas had actually read Lightsider, which was going to be the follow-up to Dark Empire, but for like bizarre non-contractual reasons, they had to pass. But like, Veitch walked away precisely because Lucas actually ended up reading one of his things. So like, Lucas actually did take the time to read some of this stuff too. So it's like, and that information's all out there, and there's so many quotes and defenses of the EU that at this point, if these folks don't believe that, I don't know that we're going to convince them, but they're clearly not looking to be convinced. You know what I mean? So it's really sad.
I mean, with me on Twitter, a lot of it, I just think it's funny to mess with people. I'm a young guy. I can do that. So I just but it's also funny to just see those comments, because I've found that TikTok and Twitter are just horrible places for EU fans. I see it all the time. Yeah. Oh, it's never canon. It's not this, not that. Now Instagram, I am on Instagram. It's actually not that hostile towards EU fans on there for some reason. Just not. Same with YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube, I guess. I don't know. But Twitter is just bad. But it's the stuff I see on there is just hilarious. And I think I know you don't keep up with the new stuff, but I have been watching the new shows. I do watch the cinematic stuff, the new cinematic stuff that they come out with. I don't read the books and stuff, but except the High Republic, I have read some of that, and it's actually really good. But mainly because it's away from Filoni and all the other stuff that they've done.
Yeah.
So
No, that's right.
and it's brand new, so there's no EU characters in it. It's all new. So anyway, so I'm about Twitter. Oh yeah, with I've watched the new shows, and Filoni has contradicted stuff in that new stuff. He's contradicted books and comics in the new canon in his new shows. And there's a leak that I hate to call it this, but the new Tales of the Jedi show that they're doing,
Yeah.
it really should be called the Clone Wars spinoff, is what it should be
I
called.
know,
But
right. That's
whatever.
about great too. Yeah.
It's leaked that there's going to contradict stuff. There's a book called Ahsoka,
Right.
which he's already contradicted from. He's going to
Mhm.
continue contradicting it in this new show coming up. And then he is contradicting another book called Dooku Jedi Lost, which is like an audio drama that they've
Mhm.
printed out.
Yep.
Or they did print out an audio drama.
That's right.
So he's contradicting that stuff. And it's like, and I see people defending it. It's like, oh, people don't read the books anyway. People don't, who cares about that? All of this stuff. And it's like, if this was done 10 years ago, 15 years ago, fans would be outraged. And I'm sure you can speak for that, because they were in 2008, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
Exactly.
it's like, why do people just not care? And I've even seen people go as far as say, just treat Star Wars as a multiverse. Now, we have two universes, two continuities, but those universes don't intermesh like Marvel or DC does. They're
Right.
separate, and it's one universe.
I do sometimes try to bolster the multiverse argument, if only because it's something that like non-Star Wars fans like sort of have a vocabulary, they can understand that because they see that everywhere else in comics and everything. But I try to bolster it, if only to then sneak in the point about, well, like continue, right? But it's weird. I mean, and I'll tell you what, go back like 20 years when Del Rey took the license back over again from Bantam. I mean, that was a huge concern that many fans had. I don't remember being super concerned about it, but like, we didn't know at the time that they were going to continue the continuity, right? We were really glad they did, and we really wanted them to, right? So it just goes to show, even back then, we were concerned about this. And yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I mean, to see E.K. Johnston, the author of one of these books, that's getting sort of just like, run over like a terrible tank. It's just like, she's like, oh no, it's cool, whatever you got to do. It's so sad. It's like, don't ask these authors for their honest thoughts. Like, it really always bums me out the way that like people interview older Bantam era authors, and they always ask the wrong question. They're always like, hey, like, what do you think of the new stuff? Well, they're polite. They want business. They want to get asked to write books again. So they say things like, oh, Lucasfilm and Disney can do whatever it wants. They should ask things like, how would you continue the storyline if you got a chance? And things like that. Right. But it is weird to see how quickly people just come to the defense of this really just creative mess or whatever. And but we could have predicted this from what they told us in 2014, right? When they seemed to almost misunderstand what made the EU so special. Lucasfilm itself misunderstood what it had been doing for all those years, right? When all that rhetoric reinforced on social media by Pablo Hidalgo and everyone else and Matt Martin about how it's all one tier, blah, blah, blah. Well, we knew this. It was inevitable. It was inevitable that all it was going to take was one Filoni. And then no one like a Leland Chee to stand up, right? And by the way, even pre-2014, even though Leland Chee's and stuff, it started just to back down and just let people start to do what they want, which was problematic, right? Which is one of the reasons why he had to promise retcons down the road. But it's a real shame, and that's the thing that made the EU so unique. And going back to Kevin Anderson, he wanted it to connect. The authors wanted it to. The authors cared about it as much as we the fans did. And now it's like Filoni just decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna like race ahead. I'm gonna leave the pack. And
Yep.
The dominoes have fallen. It's a shame. I feel, again, I don't follow the new stuff. I hope there are folks out there who really enjoy it. I think it's a real shame that their Star Wars they're not getting what we got, so it's too bad. By the way, yeah, I think Twitter's a horrible platform. So again, I feel like, if you can stomach
Great
it, go for it.
point.
Have fun while it's still there. But I feel like Facebook was good for years because it's a great place to sort of like create groups and communities. And I know for post 2014, it was a good place for a while, at least in my experience, at least for EU fans to come together. But I don't know. I don't really use that much anymore. I'd say YouTube was a great platform. I mean, obviously this notwithstanding, I mean, I've met Alex and you and others and Nat and stuff like that. So that's been great. But I feel like YouTube pre-Fandom Menace was a great place for the EU.
Right.
And then we kind of like lost our place in the mix, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh gosh, so we look like even less relevant now because we're not necessarily out here talking about how much we, hate, whatever Disney's doing. We're here to talk about how much we miss the old stuff, right? You know what I mean? So, but there's no good place for us on social media. And a quick plug, that's why I created the expandinguniverse.com. The whole idea was let's get off social media, have some places outside, but oh well, we'll see how well that does,
I think it's even worse for us because with people like Ryan Kinnell, we're often lumped with the Menace. And if you see my post on Twitter, I do not like the Menace. I hate the Menace because I think they're just toxic people. And I think Ryan Kinnell, imagine if he has all those followers or subscribers. He's like 50 something. I don't know, I haven't checked in a while. And imagine he starts making EU stuff. And all those thousands of people are getting exposed. Now he has made a couple, but a lot of those EU videos he's made, it's just to hate on the new stuff. See, it was like this. Why can't it be like this now? Okay, it's like just make EU videos to celebrate the EU instead of using it as a tool against the new canon. That's what I hate too. I hate it when people use the EU as a tool to hate on the new stuff.
I know it's so opportunistic and it's a shame and obviously it became pretty immediately that like the Fandom Menace and take any other sort of subculture on social media, they're just there. And by the way, I mean, more power to them. They're just there to monetize and make money, and that's fine, great,
Yeah.
But it's like, but they've created these huge communities and fandoms around them, but to the point where it's like they look more like, I mean, the conversations they have with other communities seem to be more almost like rap battles or something rather than any kind of discourse. And again, that's just social media, right? Like it's they're just playing the game. But Ryan is like the one guy who I've met in that world who he knows his stuff, and particularly early on with his channel, it was a lot of good EU stuff. And he goes on Matt's channel and he talks about things every month.
Well, yeah,
stuff.
right.
And that's fine, but yeah, I mean, but again, and Ryan's, I will say, like, Ryan, I am not a Fandom Menacer. I've never understood it. At first I didn't understand it. Then I thought it was just a silly artifact of social media. And then I was like, it's kind of harmful to boot, right? And now there's like second, third waves of it. That's just like embarrassing. But Ryan's the one guy. He's a good guy and he knows his stuff. But yeah, like to be honest, like, beyond his Star Wars content, I just really don't care what he thinks about Brie Larson or something in Captain Marvel.
Yes.
I just like I don't care what anyone on the internet thinks about it. Like I can make up my own mind, right? That's why I read Crystal Star rather than listen to the consensus. So whatever. But
I'm sure Ryan's a nice guy and all, and but the fact that he goes on and plays a character just to make money, which makes us look worse, it makes the EU look worse. I have a problem with that because. Like I can't tell you the amount of times I've been called the Minister just because I like the EU.
Oh yeah,
and just because I don't like Filoni.
God.
So many times because we're so lumped together when we're not. The EU movement's been around a lot longer than the Fandom Menace. So.
Oh, I was completely canceled back in, I think it was 2019. I was completely canceled. I had death threats. I had people call me a Nazi.
Really?
I'll be.
Did something happen?
What's that?
Did something happen?
Oh yeah, it's what you're saying. It's just because you're an EU fan, and it's because they connect the dots, right? And which is just absurd. And I couldn't have said it enough times that I wasn't one of these, right? And yeah. By the way, like Ryan Kinnell's not a Nazi. It's like there's no connection, right? It's just like so. But what are you gonna do? But again, I have no qualms with people monetizing silly stuff online. That's what makes the internet great. I mean, bring out, fly your freak flag, but yeah, like I can pretty clearly sort of make a distinction between, again, like Fandom Menace monetizing, silly views about Captain Marvel versus like, clearly if Yeah, I mean,
After
so
Marvel versus
anyway,
who would win?
no, but it's a shame, you know. It's like I remember the Last Jedi stuff. Like that was a really weird moment in kind of which gave rise to the Phantom Menace. That was a really weird moment in pop culture where it's like it really became clear that for the first time, watching someone's reaction to a show you haven't seen is now more entertaining than watching the show yourself, right? So it was this moment where it was like it was the absolute peak of like, you know, making criticism entertainment, right? And like that's that can be fun for a while, but yeah, it gets pretty empty and ultimately pretty toxic pretty fast, right? So, and I've said from day one, post 2014, the thing about and listen, I am good for I can critique with the best of them, and some of my earliest videos have some spice and some salt, right? But at the same time, it's like celebrate, right? Celebrate what we had to try and convince others that it's like fun to be an EU fan, right? You know, and hopefully again, hopefully it's the long haul though. It's the long haul, but hopefully one day we'll get more. And I think more people come to the fandom if they see that we're having a good time, you know. So because there's a lot to enjoy. Like you can be very positive about it for really good reasons, right? So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I've been asked a lot of times by people, you know, where would you start if you if you, like they say, you know, I want to read the books. Where do I start? So, and I've been asked that a lot, which is kind of the goal. You know, I want people,
Yeah,
you know, to be more open to the EU, and especially people my age, because you know, you don't see that a lot anymore. You don't see people my age reading the EU a whole lot. I mean, a lot of people in here are, you know, younger guys and gals, but I think gals, I don't know. But because I mean, I'm only 17. I started reading the EU late 2019. I was probably 15, 2016.
That's cool.
So,
That's
yeah.
It's a cool.
Was young.
No, that's cool though, and I hope more people your age see this, and then if they have any interest, right, they'll be like, oh, it was worth it. It was worth the going through, and I think hopefully we'll see even more and more of that. But it's a fun thing to do, right? It's fun. It's
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love collecting the books, man. I love it. Like yesterday, it's funny because I'm trying to save it for a car right now. You know, and before that, like day or so before that, I had bought first 2 volumes of Crimson Empire, the trade paperbacks, and then I bought Jedi Academy Leviathan 2 days before that. I told my mom I gotta stop buying stuff because I'm not gonna have enough money by the end. Sure enough, last night I was scrolling on Amazon. I looked up Jango Fett Open Seasons and I found it cheap. And I'm like, Mom, I gotta get this. And now, of course, I use my money, but I use because she has Amazon Prime, so I bought it on her phone. So it's the collector in me, you know. And you would definitely understand. When you find something for a good price, you got to get it then.
Absolutely, no, I totally agree because you're just gonna regret it later. Absolutely, I totally understand that. And I got to run in a second, but again, thanks for having me. But I'll say it would be fun to. If you'll have me back, let's come back again. Let's talk collecting because I think that's the fun thing too. I mean, particularly collecting now in the context of like this many years post decanonization, and stuff is getting harder and harder to find. In some ways, like the thrill is getting better and better, right? You know, you do find those bargains, but there's some stuff out there that unfortunately is still, it's really, really tough, and that's really too bad. But there's other things that are surprisingly still easy to get, so it's kind of but
one more thing about that. Another example to have in a quick story here. Went to the bookstore. I have a used bookstore, like just close to me, and I found the Thrawn trilogy in hardback there in almost perfect condition. Got it that day. Spent like $20 in total, 25 for Thrawn trilogy hardback. Best gold. I told the cashier this is gold right here.
Tell them that after you buy it, so they don't change the price, whatever, But I've definitely picked up some things at stores where it's like I see it, I don't think twice, I'm speechless. I walk up, I get it, I put it back in the car, and then I go back in because then I'm like, I can't believe it. Like it's such a steal that I'm convinced that there was a mistake, right? I'm gonna get caught on the way out, but. There's some bargains out there still. I still see in used bookstores like those, like Wild Space and No Prisoners, like those really weird, wonky Filoni era tie-ins. Like the UK publish some hardcover versions that are just worth hundreds of bucks. And every once in a while, you see those in a used bookstore, because the average used bookstore, they don't know that level of nuance, and
Right.
they're not going to go
Oh, I
check
love
it out.
them.
It's great, yeah. So cool, man. Well, thanks again. Thanks. I'm glad you're
Yep.
doing more streams. It's good to see. So
I don't know the next time I'll stream. Sometimes I just stream just because I feel like it.
Yeah.
That's what I did today. But yeah, I'll let you know next time I'm streaming though.
Cool.
So we can definitely come back on, chat.
All right. Thanks again. Have a good
night, man.
Rest of the stream. Talk to you later. Say hi to Alex. Bye, Alex.
Bye. Well, I'm gonna stay a little longer. Well, that was Christopher Nelson. I'm gonna change this title here, if I can do that. Can I do that? No. Anyway. Whoa, we got a lot of questions and stuff here. I'm gonna stay on with you guys a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna leave myself. Hey, we got another fellow EU fan that is my age. Most of the Legends adult novels are easy to get, especially you know me, I can't look past those Legends labels. Space. There's a lot of questions here that we were just talking. He's wanted to come on for a while now. So I wanted him to come on and talk. I'm gonna start at the beginning here. Dark Rendezvous. Okay. Well, he didn't get to answer this, but he did kind of say it. He did feel like it was off his characterization in that book. I wonder if you can just hit enter. How does this work? Because I see Matt pressing a button whenever he's doing this. I don't know. OMG, oh my gosh. Wowzers. Yeah, welcome, Alex. Lusa, yep. Max, she was in Crystal Star first. So at work, oh my goodness. Alex has arrived. Yeah, these are all older. It's Christopher Nelson, Cool Sky, of course. Kevin J. Anderson's awesome. Not my favorite. Well, I guess he's my favorite author. Chris looks like Lance's uncle. I showed that earlier. Kevin Anderson is awesome. Base Comet, of course. One of my favorites. I would hope he's one of your favorites. You're a big Tales of Jedi guy. Pig's here. What's up, Pig? Hello Based. I feel like I'm a seminar. Same. I read all of NGO during online classes. I read it during a lot of online classes. Yeah. That the other half of my school year during my second semester, I was reading mostly NGO. Yeah. Dark Runner is so good. Can you confirm any relationship to Lance? No, we can't. Cody's a chance. Medstar Dark Rendezvous is the best. The rest, and is this what Matt is like whenever he gets behind? He just zooming through these comments. If Revan Book is hype, I'll definitely to my dying day, of course. Like to Revan, I haven't played Coder though. You play Coder. 70s Marvel Comics is base, of course. It's generally really good. An official Lance co-host. Bro, that's an honor. Christopher Nelson co-hosted on my stream. How about that? It's amazing the community of friends I've made finding out. Of course, I very much agree. First read the 70s Marvel Comics when Dark Horse did the 7-volume reprint. Incredible time. I'm sure it was. Probably said that I would love to have been able to have been around in that era. I like Filoni, but I do think people hero worship him to a great. Of course they do. They worship him as a god, not just as a hero. They worship him as a god. Bro, I was in this canon server and they said it was never in the E's continuity. It shouldn't be in the continuity, but it was. He's talking about Flinch Clone Wars. Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, we wish it wasn't, but it was. It's one thing to be on Chris's channel, but the moment he comes on yours, you've become legit. I don't think I've ever actually been on one of his streams, so that's awesome. The Ultimate Goal, like CNL's appearance on your channel. Season 7 is canon. I know. It was telling me to feed off the living force. Yeah, it's gonna be different. You're a heretic. Wait a minute. Why are there 2 blue pig accounts? Change my profile picture. We're gonna follow Chris. He's on YouTube. Just look up Christopher Nelson. Yeah. What Alex said. Actually, okay. Yes, go follow her. She does both continuities. She does a little bit more EU stuff right now. Or she's been doing more EU stuff. What do you guys think of Spaceballs? I've never seen it. Probably should go watch it though. Lucas would approve them if they had talent in it. Of course. Man, y'all are talking away. Hey, it's Jason from Instagram. Cody, you should show Lance some of your art. Who's Cody? Oh, wait. Cody Sparks. Never mind. No, that is. Afro profile picture is based, and so is 1138 reference. You should all come onto Noah's Discord. We would just debate the whole time. I don't really even use Discord that much. I thought he was talking about someone else. Never mind, Cody. I love you, man. I know who you are. Bros, Jason Solo is here. Almighty. Though that's Darth Cadus in the profile picture. It's not Jason. It is Jason, but it's also not Jason. It's Darth Cadus. Darth Cadus. That was a lot of fun, man, having him on. He's always wanted to come on. I think we should go on stream together one day when I feel a little better. I'd love to try and get Chris back and have others here and stuff. For sure. Thing is, though, I have school coming up. So we'd have to do it when I'm off work and I'm off school and when everybody else is off. Cadus or Cadus? Cadus, that's what I say. Think you'll get mad on one day? I don't know. I hope so. Be nice. Matt's commented on my streams, never been on. I don't know if he follows me or is subscribed to me on here. So I don't know if he'd ever come on. I really want to edit the title of the stream. Maybe edit. Okay, here we go. With Christopher. Matt probably feels weird to stream with this wee lass. He streamed with Iron Inquisitor once. So I don't know about that. Oh well, I'll get better soon. I don't have any serious issues like COVID or whatever. It's gonna be so soon. Hope so. I mean, I've been on Matt streams. Blue Pig, he just has 4 kids. Yeah. Let's not put more children on his watch. That's a lot of kids. What's interesting is it's 2 sets of twins. So that's cool right there. So he has Luke and Leia and Jason Jane. I'm just kidding. He hasn't named them that, but that was awesome. That was a really cool stream with him. it's cool to be able to talk to someone who's kind of experienced that era of Star Wars. And it's face to face. They're just talking to him on the YouTube comment section or whatever. Gotta go, but it's been fun listening. Of course, Alex. Have a good night, man. I said of course because we're glad you were here. Or at least I'm glad you're here. I don't know about anyone else. I don't think anybody else cares that you're here. I'm kidding. Peace, Alex. Peace. We all love peace. What else? What else is going on? Matt's a true Skywalker. Yes, he's more of a Skywalker than Rey. Kidding, Max. I'm joking. Also, I'm not trying to toot any horns here, but I can probably get us a lot of views if we all stream together. Have a good amount of followers, like on YouTube, or I know you have a good amount of followers on Instagram. That's gonna be hard though. I may make a group chat, like a separate group chat with people who just want to be in the stream. I don't know where I do it though, because to my knowledge, Chris doesn't have Instagram. On Instagram, but others from Instagram will watch on YouTube. Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go too. It's late. I'm tired. I'm gonna read a little bit as well before I go to bed. So y'all have a good night. I hope y'all enjoyed the stream. I have school in 16 days, 2-3 weeks. School's coming back, and I'm not excited. About 2 weeks, yeah. 2 weeks and school's back, which sucks. So it means I won't have a whole lot of time to do streams like this. But I'm gonna try and do some because I'm also working now. And last year I wasn't. Now I am, so there's even less time. But hopefully I'll start having more free time at school and whatnot to actually, read a little bit. But yeah, y'all have a good night. Thanks. Bye. Six Stream, thank you very much. Thank Chris for that. He made it he made it sick. Good night, Jason. School's back in a month for me, but at least it'll be my last year. It'll be my last year too, but come on, that's a long time. I'm also trying to, because I'm going to put it in chat, but my, pretty much every name, most of my social media, that's the name. When I read it, I think of it I read it as the Star Wars EU teen. That's kind of how I read it. But I'm not going to be a teenager forever. So we got to figure out what that name is going to be after that. I may just keep it like that. Why not? Just for the hell of it. Anyway, I'm out. Y'all have a good night.